thin sheet.
There you go.
Yep, we're ready.
Good evening, everyone. I want to call tonight's meeting to order for February the 14th, 2024. Mr. Metz, when you're ready, call the roll.
Sam Cornwall. Roger Daniel.
Here.
Ray Gimrick. David Cash.
Here.
Nancy Griffith.
Here.
Todd Moore.
Here.
Will Parsons.
Here.
You have quorum.
Thank you. Before we get started, just want to say we have two new members joining us tonight. Mr. David Cash, we've worked together many years, and Nancy Griffin. So
Somebody's
it might be my microphone. This one's a little hot. Yep. Yep, this one's hot. Also joined by Mayor Slanka this evening, so nice to have you. I might be.
Could you turn that off and just speak loud? Thank you. Well, it's going to mess up the recording. I'm sorry.
Point this one out.
All right, please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on our agenda is our meeting minutes from November the 8th. Do you have any corrections or revisions to minutes? Do we have a motion to accept the minutes?
I'll move to accept the minutes.
A second.
Second.
Will Parsons?
Yes.
Todd Moore?
Yes.
Nancy Griffith, you're going to have to abstain. David Cash will have to abstain. And Roger Daniel.
Yes.
Okay, move us to our first case this evening. This is a request by applicant Wayne Hensley for approval of a map amendment and zone change at 5014 Roosevelt Avenue. Before we get started, Mr. Cash, would you like to swear?
You solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give before this board shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do. Thank you. So tonight before us, we have a request by applicant Wayne Hensley for approval of a map amendment and zone change at 5014 Roosevelt Avenue. The property is approximately 0.869 acres for the City of Middletown zoning map and Middletown Development Code. The property is zoned R3, medium density residential district, and the applicant is proposing a zone change to B2, which is the general business district. The project will need approval by the City Council for map amendment and zone change. Property background. The subject property is currently zoned R3 medium density residential. That is the parcel to the left with the yellow pin on it. The purpose of the R3 medium density residential district is to provide for moderate density single-family residential uses in an urban setting which are completely served by public infrastructure adequate for the applicable density of the development. The property owner also owns the parcel to the right of the subject parcel, which has the red pin on it. Property background. In August 2021, the single-family dwelling and accessory structure was demolished by owner Wayne Hensley. All necessary permits were acquired at the time of demolition. Since demolition, the vacant lot has been undeveloped. The applicant proposes a map amendment zone change, which would change the adjoining parcel of R3 medium density residential district to change to B2, which would allow the property owner to consolidate both the parcels. So a little bit of going backwards is the property owner owns two different parcels. They're zoned two different zoning districts. And in order to consolidate the two different parcels, they would have to have the two different parcels be the same zoning district. Once again, the project would need approval by City Council for the map amendment and zone change. Per the Middletown Comprehensive Plan, the purpose of the mixed-use residential district is to support a mix of residential housing types and styles. It supports a range of housing styles and price points that cater to a variety of lifestyles and preferences, with a focus on promoting the development of new detached single-family homes. Secondary uses include parks, recreational uses, and neighborhood churches and schools. So this is the future land use map from the Comprehensive Plan. As you can see, I don't have a pointer on me right now, but it would It's on the exact parcel is somewhere between the peach and the brown color, which changes between the mixed residential and the regional mixed use. Because it's right on the line, I've added both definitions, which would also indicate the purpose of the mixed-use regional mixed use is to support commercial uses that cater to the I-75 traffic and the regional market with secondary uses that include office, medical, service, and residential. Per the Middletown Development Code, Table 1226-1, notice requirements, public notice was published in the paper and letters were sent to all property owners within 200 feet of the property. All letters and emails that were received were forwarded to the Planning Commission. I received no public outreach. Review criteria for code text or map amendment. Recommendations and decisions on code text and map amendment applications shall be based on consideration of the following review criteria. Not all criteria may be applicable in each case, and each case shall be determined on its own facts. The proposed amendment is consistent with the master plan and other city plans and the stated purposes of this code. The proposed amendment is necessary or desirable because of changing conditions, new planning concepts, or other social or economic conditions. The proposed amendment will promote public health, safety, and general welfare. The proposed amendment, if amending the zoning map, is consistent with the stated purpose of the proposed zoning district. The proposed amendment is not likely to result in significant adverse impacts upon the natural environment, including air, water, noise, stormwater management, wildlife, and vegetation, or such impacts will be substantially mitigated. The proposed amendment is not likely to result in significant adverse impacts on other properties in the vicinity of the lot. That ends my staff report. The applicant is present. Do you have any questions for me?
This is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the proposed amendment, please come forward. Mr. Cassius, wait a minute.
Ma'am, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give before this commission shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Identify yourself, if you would.
Okay, what do I need to do?
Identify yourself first.
Do what?
Identify yourself.
Patricia Hensley.
Okay.
I can't hear. I am the daughter-in-law of the Wayne Hensley, and me and my husband are part owners of the land that they're wanting to do. Neither one of them could be here tonight, so I'm stuck with it. So what do you need to know? I don't know.
It would be best to explain your reasoning for wanting to consolidate the lot and then also the zone change as well, which would be a prerequisite.
Okay.
Which when I spoke to Wayne, it was so he could better sell the property or better advertise the property.
Right.
So just kind of explain that.
That's all I need. Okay. He already talked to you then, didn't he? Okay. I sit down now. No?
You don't have to speak. This is entirely up to you. If you'd like to, you can speak. I would just say whatever you would like to say that would explain your reasoning to the board. The board is the one that makes the decision,
Okay.
or the commission, I should say, sorry.
They just want to connect it to the other property to give them a more attractive site for a commercial company, maybe to buy it, or with a major project going on in the area. And to do anything with it at this point, as far as building or any other ideas, they don't have nothing at this time to do. Is that good?
If you like it, we like it.
I can sit down now, teacher?
I was gonna say, Ms. Hensley, are you one of the co-owners of the property? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor, please come forward. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition, please come forward. Pretty quick, right? We'll close the public hearing and ask for staff recommendation.
Just like to touch base on a few things real quick before we go into a staff recommendation. So high level, this is what the property looks like, the residential parcel currently. As you can see, the two parcels are adjoining, and in order to consolidate the two parcels, they would have to both be the same zoning district. Whether the B2 would be an R3 or the R3 would be a B2, they would both have to be the same zoning district to consolidate, which is the reason that they're here is they came in to consolidate the parcel. They were unable to consolidate the parcel, so they're going through a zone change process for that. Speaking to the applicant, they want to consolidate the two parcels and have the R3 become a B2 because it'd be more advantageous, in his words, to sell the property as a commercial property that is larger rather than two individual parcels, one being commercial and one being residential. The existing business on the B2 lot is the Title Inn. The two comprehensive plan descriptions that I gave you for future land use map, this parcel is right on the line. They could honestly go either way. It could either, you can continue it as mixed residential or you can continue it as a regional mixed use. And then, so based on the staff report provided, staff recommends denial of the zone change map amendment application for 5014 Roosevelt Avenue to have the zoning district change from R3 to B2. The reasoning behind this is because there is not an end use for the entire commercial property. So there is not an end use other than having a larger commercial property. Staff recommendations are made at the development committee. If you have any questions for me, please let me know.
I'll turn this back on, maybe. So James, when I've looked at the, when I was looking, if we go to this, the staff report itself, the very first page of the staff report, if we go down to staff analysis where it talks about R3, and maybe this is where I'm getting a little confused. When I looked at the zoning code itself, there was some language about R3 and R2. It looked like the development code referred to, in this case, are we looking at changing it to B2? That's what they're proposing, not staff. Staff just recommended denial, but in the zoning code itself, it says there's a B2 and a B3. There's a commercial, and then there's the general business district. But here, what they're asking for, at least proposing, was the B2?
Correct. They are proposing for the R3 to be transferred to a B2.
Okay. And could you just go through the staff analysis in a little more detail in terms of denial? What I'm looking at is two things. One, the master plan, and then just give us some additional details on staff rationale.
Absolutely. I don't have the pointer, but if you look onto the left-hand side of this, or the right-hand side of the screen, this whole entire street going north and south is all business. It is commercial properties, and then everything from their parcel going westward would be residential. So this is the corner property. This is the start of a residential district. Now, there was a single-family home on this property. Another single-family home could be rebuilt on this property. It's not like the property cannot be reutilized for a different purpose or the same purpose that was previously on it. The reason for staff recommendation for denial is that the current parcel could still be utilized for residential uses, and expanding a commercial district supporting the expansion of a commercial property with no end use was not something the development committee felt in favor of.
Okay, so if they were looking at this from a lot split, would that be the same argument?
What do you mean for a lot split?
For in use, they're trying to consolidate the two. Obviously, one, as I looked at the property where the Title Inn sets, and the other section I think that you're referring to is maybe the residential, where it's located. if that lot was split, would this still fall into this in-use argument?
Are you saying if the
Let's say they
property
wanted
had
to sell the title in and
Okay.
split the lot,
split the lot of the title in two,
yes.
well, then you would be keeping the both lots would still be B2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I wanted to get clarification on, so, okay.
If there was, so the main reason that he said is because there's no end use. So if it was something where there was something specific going in there, would that, and I know that that's not necessarily relevant, but I'm just kind of curious then, would that change the recommendation?
Possibly.
That's not relevant, then I understand.
Possibly. I mean, we're looking at like a theoretical conversation now, but all the directors within the city, myself and city management, sit down and I go through all the different applications. They review it. I ask for their opinions, input, and then we come up with a decision. The reason why we recommended denial is because there was no end use. We are changing what is already there for something that we may not know what could go there. A zone change is a pretty big process within the planning and zoning world.
Can I ask when the residential property, when it actually, I want to see when there actually was a residential property present?
In 2021. So back in 2021, the single-family dwelling and accessory structure was demolished by owner Wayne Hensley. They did acquire all the necessary permits at that time. They went through the process as they should. It's very well documented.
Now, apparently there's some B2 properties directly across the street from this.
Wrong way. Yes, to the north.
Yes, to the north.
Correct.
As I recall, I think there was a hair salon and something else there.
Yep.
And then the car lots there near the corner are relatively new. So the area seems to be kind of gravitating toward commercial.
Right, on the future land use map, it's right on the edge of whether it could go commercial, could stay residential.
Okay. Then I guess the bar is a leased on that land, and that bar's been there forever and ever.
I'm not sure, I would defer to the applicant.
Yeah. Well, it would have to be leased, somehow.
I guess where I'm somewhat struggling with this, Mr. Metz, is if we look at the review criteria, you've talked about the master plan. I think there's some argument that B2 would probably be more fitting. And then secondly, when we think about changing economic conditions, it seems to me that this leans in the direction of changing economic conditions. Is the idea that you would rather, from the city's perspective, that rather see, when you say end use, that someone would come forward with a plan itself, as opposed to just modifying the code to accommodate a sale?
Correct, and that's the Development Committee's perspective. We're changing our zoning map and we're changing the future land use map of this property just solely for the sale of the property. If this was an end use, it would be a little bit different. However, if you do see that it fits review criteria 1 and 2, then you can make a decision based off of that. This wasn't a decision made lightly, so.
Certainly.
It's just whether or not the city would support them selling two different parcels, zoned two different zoning districts, or sell one parcel with one zoning district.
I see the issue there, so that's. Any other questions for Mr. Metz? think what I'm hearing is a matter of timing here in development, and not rushing into a zoning change without having a more significant plan in place, so.
It also sounds kind of like a chicken and egg thing. In other words, where they're wanting to change it so they could sell it for a commercial purpose, but we don't want to change the zone without having a commercial purpose already lined up. So it makes it difficult.
Well, do we have, staff has recommended denial, do we have we have a motion to deny? Okay, we have a second?
Second.
Was that for approval or denial?
That is for approval of denial.
Okay.
No,
Or to deny approval. Huh?
Roger Daniel?
I'll vote for denial.
So yes to
I say
deny.
Yes. Although I'm really torn.
Yeah.
David Cash?
Yes.
Nancy Griffith?
No.
Todd Moore?
Yes for denial.
And Will Parsons? So our next item on the agenda is something you've seen before. This is just approval of a section 2 of a final plat. So a request by applicant Philip Brennan for approval of a final plat section 2 for the already approved planned development to be in the construction of the remaining single-family homes at 2701 Central Avenue. The project received approval by the City Council for the planned development and map amendment zone change on July 5th, 2023, and received final development plan approval on September 13th, 2023. Subject property is was currently zoned R3. It will be rezoned to planned development when this is all final. This is just for the approval of the second plat. So submission of a final plat in cases where the applicant proposes to develop the subdivision in phases. The final plat shall be submitted in each individual phase. This is just phase 2 of 2. If a preliminary plat has already been approved, the final plat shall have all incorporated changes in the preliminary plat. We had our engineers review this, and they did approve that. Review and decision of the final plat by the Planning Commission. Approval of the final plat by the Planning Commission shall not be an acceptance by the public of the offer of dedication of any street, public improvement, or other public ways or open space on the final plat until they are accepted by City Council in the form of an adoption of a motion. No final plat shall be recorded until all areas offered for parks, open space, or public right-of-ways have been accepted by City Council. So this was the preliminary plat that was shown to you, most of you, throughout this last year. This is what the applicant proposes. And this is final plat section 2. So in October of 2023, Todd, Will, and Roger, you approved the final plat section 1, which was just the 4 houses. It came through this way based off of the contract that the city is working with the developer on. Throughout the process, they wanted to do the section 1 plat, and now they're coming in for section 2.
But when we approved it, well, if I could ask a question, when we approved it, most of what we see up here was part of what we saw.
Yeah, nothing's changed.
There hasn't been any major changes to any of that?
No, there's been actually no changes
Okay,
at all.
all right.
Just another copy. Whoa. So, review criteria for a final plat. In order to approve a major subdivision, the Planning Commission, City Council, as appropriate, shall determine the following: that the major subdivision complies with all applicable provisions of this code, that the major subdivision does not conflict with other regulations, plans, or policies of the city, that applicable review agencies have no objections that cannot be resolved by the applicant, and that the final plat and construction drawings conform to the approved preliminary plat if submitted and approved. All the review criteria has been met for this applicant. And then typically we do a final plat at the same time we do the final development plan. They both go in the same time, but this was separated out for this process. So just a little bit of history. Planning Commission recommended approval of the preliminary development plan to construct 20 single-family homes at this property on May 10th, 2023. City Council recommended approval of the preliminary development plan zone change map amendment to construct 20 single-family homes on July 5th, 2023. The Architecture Review Board reviewed and approved the single-family homes on October 10th. And Planning Commission approved the final plat section 1 on October 19th, 2023. So it's been quite the year for this development. They've received all their approvals. This is just the final one that I've submitted, both the final development plan for your review and the final plat. Do you have any questions for me? The applicant is present, and that ends my staff report.
Any questions? No. This is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak in favor, please come forward.
You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give before this commission shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do. I don't have anything further to add. Just wanted to avail myself for any questions that you guys might have. This has really been the culmination of a very long process. I wanted to thank all of you guys who have been involved in it. The team is certainly excited about it, and this is going to be a pretty cool project for the city. So we're excited to get it started. And happy Valentine's Day. Probably not the date you guys were looking for, but I'm the date you got. Any questions? Thank you all.
Thank you. Well, seeing no one else to speak in favor or opposition, we'll close the public hearing and ask for staff recommendation, if I'm not seeing that here.
Staff recommends approval.
Project is certainly coming along. Looks nice. Well, would someone like to make a motion?
I move that we approve it as submitted.
Second? Anyone have a second? Okay.
Will Parsons? Yes. Todd Moore?
Yes.
Nancy Griffith?
Yes.
David Cash?
Yes.
Roger Daniel?
Yes.
Thank you. So for new and old business, we have OKI representative. That's the first one on our list. This is the email that I sent to you earlier last week regarding needing an OKI representative. In the past, Planning Commission has voted to have the Planning Commission liaison, which is the city planner or development code administrator, to be the Planning Commission's representative for this board. However, it could be anybody on Planning Commission could accept that. They do take attendance, so it is something that if you're wanting to be a part of, you will have to attend regularly. And then you would be expected to report back at the Planning Commission meeting. Or if you so choose not to, I can also do that as well, stand in.
I would certainly welcome you to do it, James.
Hearing no other people, I will assume that I will take on that representative role. Thank you. That ends everything for myself. I will be most likely going on paternity leave soon, give or take in the next 14 days, hopefully. But I will be here for the March 13th meeting, and believe I've already reached out to you about that for quorum, but the staff package will be coming soon. So I may be in and out of communication a little bit less frequently than normal, but I will have my access to my email. So thank you.
Okay, that brings us to adjournment. All those in favor of adjournment say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.